Well, that's a turn up for the books. A double blow in one over from Safian Sharif and one for Mark Watt at the very start of his spell have left New Zealand reeling in a game they were expected to put lots and lots of runs on the board in the afternoon heat of Dubai. 70 for 3 at the 10 over mark is not the worst amount of runs, but those three key wickets they've lost off their top order, including Daryl Mitchell and Kane Williamson, and later Devon Conway, have certainly put a spanner in the works. Whether or not it's enough to dent their hopes of picking up the 2 points, let's try and discuss the score at the 10 over mark on Cricbuzz Comm Box. Joy Bhattacharjya joins me. Who would have thought? 3 wickets down. Kane Williamson just tickles one down the leg side. Safian Sharif, the giant killer.
Safian Sharif has been bowling brilliantly throughout, and I mean, 2 overs for 2 runs has been absolutely spectacular on pace. Williamson is a kind of wicket that happens, 1 out of 100 times when you flick on leg, and it just gives you enough for the keeper to catch, but not enough to go to the boundary. It's just one of those things. Kane Williamson, what I was interested in, that Kane Williamson didn't walk. He sort of waited for the umpire to give him out, and he held his space until he went out there. Another late decision, the next one also Devon Conway. But as I said, it's been interesting. 52 in the first six, and then suddenly things have slowed down. Just 18 in the next four. So yeah, interesting times.
Certainly is. Guptill is the one who's holding the innings together. Big test for someone like Glenn Phillips, who's shown so much in franchise cricket, but maybe just hasn't found his niche in the New Zealand side. So while they've got a couple of all-rounders to come in Mitch Santner and Jimmy Neesham, I think this is the pair, Joy, that have to steer them through for the next 5 or 6 overs and then a final push.
Yeah, they have to. And I think what's also been interesting is the fact that Greaves and Mark Watt have bowled very, very well. They've bowled well within themselves. And if Lees can also bowl there and give them something, because I think their weakness at this point in time is the fact that Bradley Wheel has gone for runs, as Alistair Evans. So I think if they've got to find somebody to replace, they're going to try and see how many of those overs they can sort of get away. If they can, get another couple of overs from somebody else, they'll really look forward to it. And
But New
I
Zealand,
think they think the slow bowling is better. They think New Zealand is struggling a little with the slow bowling.
yeah, well, Leask has come on to bowl. I think they've realized now that they've got to turn to the slower bowlers, but it's been strange dismissals in that sense. One, of course, was the LBW of Daryl Mitchell. That was a straightforward dismissal. But two of them being tickles to the keeper, one off a spinner, one off a quick bowler. You don't often have two in the same inning. So New Zealand will be telling themselves, listen, we haven't been blown away by the opposition attack. It's just a little bit of bad luck which we need to overcome.
Yeah, it's a little bit of bad luck. And as you said, it's probably a great opportunity for Glenn Phillips to get time in the middle. He really has now the time in the middle. Guptill's batting well. Guptill settled. Guptill also having time in the middle is important because he's really not come to the party so far in this tournament. It's not the destroyer Guptill that we know of. And so both those players are really vital to New Zealand's hope. But I think given what's happened, there's a little bit of a door that's open for Scotland. And what I see also is possibly, if not television sets being switched on, I see people in India now every once in a while checking on the score just to say, is there a hint of an upset? Do they smell something here that could go wrong?
I mean, that could be huge because we were all talking about whether or not Afghanistan, that was the only permutation combination. Afghanistan beating New Zealand, that too by a narrow margin. India winning by huge margins. We didn't account for the fact that a team like Scotland could also turn up and put a bit of a scare in the opposition. We know their batting is not quite up to the mark, but at least they're in a position, in a ground, in conditions where chasing has been the mantra throughout and has been successful.
Absolutely. I think even a hint of a chance if they can somehow keep it down to 160, 165, which is possible, though I think now is the time that Glenn Phillips will start opening out. If they can keep them to that 160, 165, and remember, they just need 2 or 3 batsmen to fight. They don't need 7 good batsmen. Kurtze is a more than capable batsman. Makelid is a batsman. Guernsey is there. They have the batsmen to make it runs if they have to.
Well, they certainly do. What's the score you reckon is a bare minimum? Let's assume everything doesn't go New Zealand's way in the next 10 overs. What's a bare minimum Kane Williamson will want to ask Milne and Bolt and Saudi and Sodi and Santner to defend?
I think he'll say 160, but I think anything above 150 would be good for him.
Yep, well, that's what New Zealand are looking at. Bit of trouble, but I think that's what we like. some competition, not one-way traffic, and it's New Zealand's turn now to respond in the second 10 overs, because so far the pattern we've seen in the last few games is the second 10 can be very productive for the batting unit. We'll join you at the halfway mark to see just how many New Zealand have put on. That's all from Cricbuzz Comm Box.